Before we start our sixth plenary session, we would like to express our gratitude to our speakers, His Excellency Rashid Alzayani, Mr. Khalid Hmedan, and Past District Governor Farid Gibran, and our moderator, Past District Governor Nijad Al-Atasi. And yes, we all agree that economy and community development go hand in hand to secure a better tomorrow. Our sixth plenary session is Peace and Conflict Prevention and Resolution. Our first speaker is His Excellency Dr. Abdullatif bin Rashid Alzayani, Minister of Ministry of Foreign Affairs in the Kingdom of Bahrain. Your Excellency, the floor is yours.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Engineer Mazen Al-Amran, Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I'm delighted to have this opportunity to address this prestigious Rotary International Conference. And I want to start by thanking Engineer Mazen Al-Amran, Governor of District 2452, for the invitation to share a few thoughts on conflict prevention and resolution. May I also express my personal appreciation for the important and outstanding humanitarian work of the Rotary movement around the world, which I have been privileged to witness firsthand here in Bahrain. These tireless efforts to help those in need and to provide a better world for future generations are themselves vital elements of preventing conflict. And this work has been given renewed importance by the impact of the COVID pandemic on the most vulnerable across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, conflict prevention is one of the core functions of diplomacy and foreign policy. Indeed, it is often said that the outbreak of conflict represents a failure of diplomacy, and therefore one of the Kingdom of Bahrain's key foreign policy priorities has always been to create, consolidate, and sustain an environment which minimizes the chance of conflict. This is not a new development, but is deeply rooted in Bahrain's long history of dialogue and cooperation, and in the personal determination of His Majesty the King to promote understanding and mutual respect between faiths, nations, and peoples. Here in Bahrain, we see these principles and values put into practice every single day. But how do they translate to the international stage? What are the best strategies for conflict prevention and resolution? The first point I would make is that there is no quick fix and no single policy or measure to prevent conflict. Rather, it must always be a long-term and collaborative process, one which nurtures a mindset in which gradually trust can be built and understanding developed among all parties. In any dispute or disagreement, there will always be extremist elements pushing the situation towards violence for their own benefit. Our job as diplomats and peace builders is to ensure that those voices are not listened to and that the forces of moderation carry the day. Here in the Middle East, with its long history of division and mistrust, that means an ongoing series of small steps forward and building a convincing vision for all nations and peoples to buy into, with strong support from both inside and outside the region. In my view, that vision should be one of a peaceful, stable, prosperous Middle East, with all the benefits that brings from the security, economic, and human perspectives, and the real positive impacts it can make for the everyday lives of all parts of society. And this leads to my second point, the importance of networks in sustaining peace and averting conflict. If we can bind together peoples, companies, NGOs, governments, and more, if we can show them that peace brings real benefits which conflict would take away, then we can give a real incentive to listen to those forces of moderation. We can provide a reason to stop and think before acting, to reflect on the best course of action, and to move towards dialogue to resolve the issues. And we already know what this can look like in practice. We need to only look to Europe, East Asia, or North America to see examples of these overlapping networks across all areas, activity from commerce to regional organizations to people ties. Europe, in my view, is particularly instructive given the devastation it experienced in the Second World War and the urgent need to build new structures to ensure that such conflict could not happen again. I do not suggest that the Middle East should simply copy or imitate these networks. Our development must always be organic, evolutionary, and based on the needs and reality of the region itself. But they can serve as a guide and inspiration for where we seek to travel and give tangible examples of how deepening interdependence can build lasting regional peace and prosperity. Ladies and gentlemen, turning back from theory to practice, I hope you can see how these considerations helped inform Bahrain's signature of the historic Abraham Accords last year, and the steps that have been taken since. They provide a framework within which to address the conflicts that have plagued the Middle East for too long, and also light a path forwards, moving us quickly from signing a document to implementing practical measures to build genuine ties at all levels of society. These are the ties, the networks that will underpin true and lasting peace in the region. And it is why we in Bahrain, alongside our brothers in the UAE, have moved rapidly to establish and consolidate them. Of course, at the heart of any conflict are genuine issues that have to be resolved in the longer term if there is to be lasting peace and security. In the Middle East, Those issues center on the Palestinian-Israeli conflict, which has for so long eluded all attempts at a solution. And the recent terrible escalation in Gaza shows more clearly than ever the urgent need to address these issues and to put in place a durable and comprehensive peace. We already know the outlines: a two-state solution as envisaged in the Arab Peace Initiative, one which protects the legitimate rights and interests of all parties. And just as I said earlier, that conflict prevention is a collaborative process, so too is conflict resolution. We now know from the Abraham Accords that a new way forward is possible for our region, one of cooperation over confrontation, and by bringing together the influence and diplomatic skills of the parties themselves, regional states, and the wider international community. It is my firm belief that now is an important moment of opportunity for intensified and redoubled efforts to finally resolve this conflict, unlocking so much potential for the Middle East and its peoples in the process. Rotarians, ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for this chance to share some perspectives on how best to prevent and resolve conflict. I hope this has given some insight into these approaches and how they might make a practical difference in our region. Thank you also for the work of hundreds of thousands of Rotarians around the world to build a safer, healthier, and more prosperous future for our planet and its peoples. I wish you all every success in your efforts. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for such an interesting speech. We will keep the comments and questions until the end of the session. Our next speaker is District International Service Chair, Deputy District Governor David Gibson-Moore from the United Arab Emirates. District International Service Chair, Deputy District Governor David, the floor is yours.
Your Excellencies, District Governor Mazen, past district governors, Rotarians, Rotaractors, and friends. It's the greatest pleasure to be able to be with you today at this wonderful 2021 district conference. The organizers have really done a fantastic job arranging the program for these 3 days. And it's just a pity that we can't meet physically, but in any case, we have the opportunity of meeting virtually like this. And in this particular case of discussing various programs and initiatives at Rotary dedicated to peace and conflict resolution. Now, when we list our areas of focus, peace and conflict resolution is always the first one. In fact, peace and conflict resolution has had a long identity as part of Rotary's organization. Rotary had a seat at the table at the 1945 UN Charter Conference and was also instrumental in the creation of UNESCO. No fewer than 5 Rotary members have been presidents of the UN General Assembly. And today, Rotary holds top consultative status at the UN Economic and Social Council. Peace and conflict resolution is, I believe, a topic that all of us fervently believe in. But then there's the next question. What can I, as a Rotarian, do to make any difference to this enormously important topic? I thought, therefore, it would be useful today to highlight some of the existing areas that Rotary is active in peace and conflict resolution, and then to mention several ways in which you and I can become involved right away. The program probably that most of you are aware of through your club activities is the Rotary Peace Fellowship Program.
Rotary's Peace Centers programs offer unique opportunities for experienced professionals in peace and development studies. Each year, the Rotary Foundation awards up to 130 fellowships for study at leading universities around the world. Up to 50 for master's degrees and up to 80 for graduate certificates. Rotary's certificate program includes universities in Thailand and Uganda. The certificate fellowships are now a year-long, combining a 2-week online orientation, a 10-week on-site course with field studies, a 9-month social change initiative in their home countries, combined with mentorship and interactive online learning sessions, and a final 1-week on-site capstone seminar. The fully funded program enhances the work of peace and development leaders who are addressing the underlying challenges to peace, from human rights violations to the impacts of climate change. Fellows gain theoretical and practical peace-building skills, participate in field studies, design and implement a peace initiative, while expanding their global network and furthering their capacity as peace and development leaders. Peace building is a cornerstone of Rotary's mission as a humanitarian service organization. If concerned citizens work together to create peace locally, lasting change can happen globally. For more information and to begin your application, visit.
When I became a member of the Arch Clumph Society Trustees Circle recently, I dedicated my endowment to the setting up of an annual Peace Fellowship at Chulalongkorn University in Bangkok. This is a city I know well since we've got some property there and have had for a number of years, and I previously met some of the academics at the university. It has, however, been an extraordinary experience to have met, unfortunately again digitally under the present circumstances, a number of the academics there dedicated to working on our Peace Fellowship program. Subsequently, I participated in a number of Peace Fellowship alumni regular webinars. I also arranged for a District 2452 webinar entitled Maximizing the Opportunities for Peace and Conflict Resolution. This primarily took the form of a fireside chat with Dr. Wael Adeboye, who is a board member of the Rotary Peace Fellowship Alumni Association and has special responsibility for the Middle East. His particular area of specialization is military operations, mass atrocity crimes, prevention, and human security. He is also a Global Peace Index ambassador. He outlined how we train adults and young leaders to prevent and mediate conflict. We aid refugees who have fled dangerous areas. Rotarians also address the underlying structural causes of conflict by relieving millions of people suffering from poverty, inequality, ethnic tensions, lack of access to education, and unequal distribution of resources. So, how can each one of us foster peace? Let's turn to Rotary's specific involvement in various peace programs and initiatives. And I would like to move on to some slides to illustrate the ways that Rotary is involved in peace. Rotary has undertaken a great deal of strategic work with the Institute for Economics and Peace. We are able to combine our grassroots work in communities around the globe with the IEP's empirical research on the attitudes, institutions, and structures of peaceful societies. The concept is that peace is a process and a system rather than a product or result. Their positive peace framework comprises 8 criteria and is a natural fit for Rotarians to help us understand and contextualize our work in peace. And positive peace is a term that you will find cropping up much in the Rotary narrative. This framework allows Rotarians a variety of ways to become effective peace builders. The emphasis is on positive peace, which looks at the attitudes, institutions, and structures that create and sustain peaceful societies, rather than simply negative peace, which is the absence of violence or fear of violence. And it is fascinating to see how the 8 pillars reconcile with Rotary's 7 areas of focus. A peace index for each country can be calculated based on these factors, and focusing on these factors allows Rotarians a variety of ways to become effective peace builders, leveraging their service work and community work, as well as their role as community leaders. So in the very few minutes that I've got left, let's look at the various ways that you and I and all of us can get more involved in the Rotary peace process. Firstly, as from the beginning of the year, let's try and identify candidates for the Peace Fellowship programs. We don't want to cram this important activity into the last 3 months of the Rotary year. Secondly, I would absolutely recommend everyone to join the Rotary Positive Peace Academy. This is a free training course where you can discover the strategies and tools that can help individuals, Rotarians, even cities and nations to build and sustain peace. The course only takes 2 hours and is incredibly interesting. It's available on www.rotarypositivepeace.org. Thirdly, I think it's very effective to talk about positive peace locally. You can conduct short in-person trainings with your Rotary, Rotaract, and Interact clubs to facilitate dialogue and to foster community-based engagement. Any Rotarian wanting to undertake such activity can use the facilitator guide and the presentation to get started that are available on My Rotary. Next, we can host in our district a positive peace workshop. I'd really like to do this, and let's see if we can set up something this year. There's also within Rotary a network of positive peace activators. These are Rotarians, Rotary Peace Fellows, Rotaractors, and other Rotary stakeholders who are committed to peace building and who are located through the world. They can be part of our in-person training or community-wide workshop. I do very much want to mention the Rotarian Peace Project Incubator, the RPPI. This is an inspirational collaboration amongst Rotarians, Rotaractors, and Rotary Peace Fellows. Led by Rotarians in Switzerland and Liechtenstein, the RPPI has designated 48 global peace projects tailored to address urgent community needs. They are oven ready and can be adopted by any club, either directly or through the Rotary Foundation Global Grant Program. And lastly, there is the Rotarian Action Group for Peace, the RAGFP. This is a Rotary International approved, autonomous, international group with a passion for peace building and provides assistance and support to Rotary clubs and districts in planning and implementing service projects that relate to peace. Let's use them to support some of our own peace-related activities. So thank you very much indeed for your attention. Please do raise any questions right now, or do get in touch later on if you would like to discuss any of these issues further. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, DISC DDG David, for such an informative speech. Now we will start the Q&A with past District Governor Nejad Al-Attasi.